Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It is September 29th, and today we're going to talk about planting onions. Anytime you're planning to plant your onions from seed, and that's what I'm going to go through here, you need to select an onion that is for your area, unless you just want to grow green onions, because we're down in the south, and so our summer days are shorter daylight than those of you up north and in the middle of the country. So they have three different types of onions. You have short day, day neutral, and you have long day. Now, these ones here, there's two varieties here, and they've been in here a little too long. Normally, I try to put them out a little bit quicker. As you notice, they're not big like your big box stores. These tend to take off pretty quick. If I would have given more fish emulsion, they like a lot of nitrogen, they would be a whole lot stronger, but these will survive. I always just take the bigger ones out. The little bitty ones that germinated late or something, I just leave them. But these are about 5 weeks old. These were planted August 21st. And now we're going to look at some that's a little bit older. Now, these in this bed, this is a different variety, but it grows about the same as far as size. Now, these were grown for green onions. They were put in 3 inches apart, and I've been thinning some. You can see where there's gaps. I took some to the market, but they're just right size right now for green onions. And these were planted July 8th. The seed was started July 8th, to give you an idea how long for me it took. Now, if I'd have given them more nitrogen, like I say, it would affect as far as the growth, make them grow quicker. But I'm not really in a hurry. Once I get them in the ground, just let them grow. And we did have pretty good success after we planted them. The only place, and we'd pulled some out here, but we might have lost just a few in the middle. And in this corner, we lost most of them, and it stays drier towards the edge. So it was a water issue with the heat. But anyway, we'll probably harvest the biggest part of these for the market this coming Friday, and then we'll get our others. But we've got one more batch that we've started, and actually it was when I originally went to do this video, and when I went to check it, my microphone was messing up. A lot of static cutting out. It was just going out. So I ordered another one. But anyway, let's look at those others. Okay, these here, and you can see we have really good germination. Now, these seeds are actually 6 days since they've been planted. So they've germinated and grown this well after 6 days, even with 3-year-old seeds. Now, these seeds are kept in the freezer, which to me seems like it keeps them going quite a bit better as far as keeps their germination rate up. So if you're going to keep extra seeds, and I keep them in a Mylar bag, so to try to keep any moisture out. But you can see that they're still doing good. Okay, when I talk about seeds and storage, now onion seeds are one of those seeds that tend to want to lose the germination rate real quick. In fact, a lot of times within a year, if they're not stored properly, the germination rate will go down 50%. So you want to make sure that you store them good if you're going to use older seeds. Now, when it comes to planting, this is probably one of the best investments I ever got years ago. And it works real good for planting. I can just take and tap this and distribute my seeds. Now, a lot of times when I'm planting smaller seeds, I'll just use my tweezers here, and I'll break out how many I want. Now with these onions, they do best if there's not a whole lot in a cell. Now you can plant like 20, 30 seeds in a cell and they will grow, but they tend to, like you've seen the ones that I said was in the cell tray too long. When you get too many and the roots go down, and even though I'm using a little bit bigger cell tray as far as it got more depth, and they do better. But the longer they're in there and the roots get really bound up together, and so they're kind of fighting for nutrients, and they tend to not want to be there that long. But I always plant mine small. Even the bigger onions you saw were put out when they were really small. Once they get big as a toothpick or a little bigger, that's usually the size that I put in the ground. But all we're going to do is we're going to tap this, and we're going to put maybe a dozen seeds in each place. We're not going to be too concerned with how many seeds are there. Now, in the South, we can plant our onions in the fall for our bulbing onions in the spring, and we get real good results. We normally try to get these out sometime between the middle of October and the end of November. Now up north with your long day onions and your ground freezing, that's not a possibility, so you have to work different. Now normally I figure, and especially in the cooler weather, we'll take and you would start your onions and give them about 8 to 10 weeks time before you would plan to put them out. So you'll have to calculate that. Now, in the same way, depending on where you are in the day neutral area, you would need to take and plant accordingly. Like I say, normally anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, and you'll get a good onion plant to put in the ground. But I'm just going to put the rest of these in here. What I've done, I've got kind of a coarse mixture. Now you can use seed starter mix. And it was probably good that my last video failed, because then you can see how quick they come up without me having to do a separate follow-up video on there. Now, these are 1015 wise. I believe it's a grano variety onion, and a lot of times we call them noonday onions because they're actually a super sweet onion, and they locally here, and it's not that far from where we're at, they grow them. It's Noonday, Texas, and that's where they get the noonday onion. And I think maybe their ground's a little bit sweeter, or I might say maybe the pH is just a little bit higher, but they make a really sweet onion. Now, when it comes to planting onions, and especially if you're going to store them, most of our short day onions that we have are sweet onions, and sweet onions don't store as long. And I try to do videos on onion storage and let you know as far as how long they keep. Now, we freeze dry a lot of ours, so we don't have that problem, except if we want to slice an onion, say for a burger or something like that, or we just want to cut up an onion and eat. You know, you would like fresh onion. So when you're going to have one that stores longer, you don't want a sweet onion, and they're going to be a little bit more heat to the other varieties. But those varieties, because they don't have the sugars and they have less moisture in them, they store longer. So that's something to consider when you're planting your onions too. There are a lot of factors in there. Now, what we do from here, I just have this perlite, and this is a little bit coarse, but you don't need a coarse perlite. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shake enough of this in here to cover the tops. And I'll go on through here and finish this up. But what I want to say is once I do this and I've got my little watering thing here, which has got a hose, and I just water them in with the hose. That way, if you get too much water, and especially when the perlite's dry, it wants to move around and wash out. So I use that once my onions start to germinate. And you can normally tell that with this perlite because it's going to raise it up. And the reason we use perlite is we do water these good, but if you have any situation with fungal gnats, the perlite keeps a little drier on the top, and so the fungal gnats don't lay their eggs, and you don't get an infestation from them. So that's something to consider. And like I say, this method always works good. When I just plant straight into the mix that I have, what happens is the soil tries to stick with them, and you have a whole lot more problems with the way the onion comes up. The seed will hold the top of the plant into the ground, and you have a whole lot more problem of them just popping up and sending their top straight up. So, but once they start to germinate, you'll see this perlite start to raise up some. And I take and I'll water it again right at that point, and that softens this up because the perlite will try to stick together a little bit, but that softens it up. And then you can take and they'll come right out. Don't normally have a problem. Now what I do is I just take this little hose, and I've been using this for years, and I just water this. I'll water them down, and then I'll come back and I'll water them down again. I get it good and saturated. I can feel by the weight of my tray that I've got enough water in there. If not, I'll water them some more. And then I just put a dome over these, and I set them on my grow station. Now, if you are using a grow station for your onions, be aware you don't want to have your lights timer set too long, because when you get them too long, and I think for short day onions, it's 12 to 14 hours of sunlight. And if you have them too long, they'll sense that they're in the bulbing stage before they're in the bulbing stage. And when you plant them early, like now, what ends up happening is you'll have more of them bolt when it comes in the springtime, sometime normally in May when we start harvesting. But we don't get too much of that problem, and if we do, we go ahead and take them out and we freeze dry them as green onions. We don't let them cure out. We just go ahead and chop them up and freeze dry them so we don't waste them, because once one starts to bolt, it's still usable onion, but it will not store because there's way too much moisture in it from the seed top that is sending up, and it will cause the onion to spoil quickly. But anyway, it's simple as that to grow your own onions. I know a lot of you want to cut out the middleman, be able to control the varieties and everything that you plant. There's so many onion varieties that are available. So you can just get out there and start growing your own. I hope you found some value in this video. If you want to see more videos like this on starting your own seeds to, growing your own food, preserving it, some videos on self-sustaining lifestyle, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all, so you'll get all the notification when I put out new videos. And of course, give it a big thumbs up. That really helps my channel in sharing this video. And as always, enjoy that gardening experience.